astronauts, it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. So today's reading is what are people saying when you're not around? Such a long title, don't know how I'm going to fit that in the little title bar on YouTube, but we'll figure it out here. We have 4 piles to choose from today, just because I am so tired this week from all the editing of last week's video, as well as I've started dating again, and you guys know how like emotionally exhausting and draining dating can be and getting out on the scene. So before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research and hit that bell to stay notified of future readings. You can also follow me on other social medias below, as well as private readings that can be found in the description bar below. So we have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, and pile number 4. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey astronauts, so this is pile number 1, and let's just get into it. We have the King of Swords. We have the Page of Swords, I believe here. We have the Queen of Swords. What's going on? We got the whole sword family going on here. We have the Emperor. And we have the King of Cups. This is so strange, guys. I don't think I've gotten a reading full of just all sword cards. But let me actually put them in order, too. I don't know why I laid them down in that fashion. It's easier to read this way. So that is so strange. It looks like you have a lot of people talking about you, because the fact of the matter is that we've only got a whole bunch of court cards and everything. I may have to pull one more card. So let's just put this on pause for 1 second. So I pulled the 3 of Cups as another card, just because it's going to be a little bit weird to just read only with a whole bunch of character cards. I don't even know what to call that. But I just wanted to get a little bit more specific on what people were saying. So the fact that we have all this sword energy, there's a lot of people talking about you. Just straight off the bat, we have a whole bunch of array of people, older, mainly older, and then I guess maybe like 1 or 2 people who may be like younger than you. But for the most part, this is an older crowd. Maybe it's family or something like that. Maybe it's friends. I don't know. Maybe it's just people with decent jobs. Sometimes I get court cards and the Emperor for people who can be like very like career oriented, like the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords and everything like that. But either way, these are all people who are very intellectually sound, and for the most part, a very mature mindset. I do want to say off the bat that this isn't really negative gossip. I would say with the Emperor card energy, sometimes I get Emperor card to represent disagreements, only because it has that Mars ruled energy connected to it. So what people may be saying about you is that you may have a difference of opinion, but it's like the energy for this reading is generally very positive. The fact that we have so many swords, it's just like a happy family going on here. So I feel like it may even be your family saying things about you. For the most part, they can be saying they may disagree with some decisions you may have made. And overall, this would be a more supportive conversation, or at least a more mature conversation. You may have some other people with this Page of Swords who may be a little petty, but for the most part, most people are saying things like, oh, I'm proud of what this person's accomplished. I'm proud of the effort this person has put forward. They're talking about more so your accomplishments or your sense of ambition. They're talking more about your leadership skills, your ability to be responsible, and to basically adult. They're talking about your adulting skills, right? And what they're saying is obviously very positive. They think you have a very mature mindset. I think you're very smart. They think you're very resourceful. They think you're somebody who looks after others, who is generous. And this is overall such a positive vibe. Another area that people can be talking about when we get a lot of different court cards going on here. It can also mean that they're talking about your friendships, which we have with the Three of Cups, or your dating life. Like, I don't know if you're single or not. I don't know if you're in a relationship or not. But without a doubt, when we get the Three of Cups here, we're definitely either talking about friendships or we're talking about somebody's dating or love life. And what we see here is they may feel like you have more than one suitor around you, or more than one person that you may be dating, or they feel like you may not be committed to one person, or if you are in a committed relationship, then it's looking at it like they think that the relationship may not be that serious, or they may think that there are better options for you out there. Like I said, there is some difference of opinions and choices. So that's it. But at the same time, they know that they can't really decide what's best for you. So overall, the conversation is generally very pleasant. They see you as somebody who is very fun, somebody who is kind of living just their best life right now and enjoying the company of others. They're talking about your social life. Like I said, it's something with friends, talking about maybe like old stories, or heck, new stories, times that you spent together, wanting to make plans for the future. Three of Cups is all about just like, it's just like kickback energy, okay? So they're just talking about like hanging out. They're talking about like, oh, when can we meet up again? Or what are we gonna do if, I don't know, if you have a family reunion? Like they're talking about making plans for the future, but they're like more like hang out and let's have fun plans, not like, you know, anything serious. They're not talking about anything in related to like marriage or babies or anything like that. They're just saying, oh, this person's keeping it light, they're keeping it fun. Want to hang out with them. Maybe I want to call them, but I want to keep up with them. Maybe I want to see what's going on with them. Maybe we can plan a vacation. Maybe we can plan an outing. I wonder what's going on with their dating life. Seems like they're dating a lot of people. Seems like they haven't found the one yet, or if they have found the one, is that person sure about them? I don't know if that person's the right match for them. Like, these are the general things that they're kind of saying when you're not around. But overall, it's just such a positive reading. It's showing like concern, but they also know that for the most part, they need to mind their business. You do have that like the little Page of Swords energy, which can be a little bit more gossipy sometimes and not as mature. So you do have some people who are just like, I don't think they should do this and I don't think they should do that, which goes into that Emperor energy here of like trying to like control situations that don't involve them or aren't their lives. So you have like maybe one or two people like that, but for the most part, other people are just like very supportive of you, and they kind of feel like you're in a period of your life where you should be having fun and you should be like enjoying yourself and meeting people and being social. And I think part of them really like talking about your social life because they all have a lot of responsibilities within themselves. Okay, so in a way they feel like when you're talking about your social life, they get to see a fuller picture of you, or they get to have fun and enjoy the things that you talk about and hearing your stories and your experience. So for the most part, that's what I generally get from this. They're like, I wonder what this person's up to. I wonder what their next story or adventure is going to be, etc. And that's what's pretty much happening. So that is what I have for you, pile number one. I know it's short and sweet, but honestly, this energy is just so good and so nice. They're just like really excited to hear fun things you've been up to, maybe people you've been talking to, any relationship updates. It's just a good reading. It's like very normal stuff that people kind of like to discuss. So that is what I have for you, pile number one, and I cannot wait to see you guys next time. Au revoir. And pile number two, let's see what people are saying about you when you are not around. We have the Magician. We have the Nine of Wands, Seven of Wands, put this here, Page of Swords, and the Ten of Pentacles. Let's do this. Okay, so so the Magician is kind of like this like absolute potential card. So when you're not around, people are just talking about, you know, your natural talents or gifts or your ability to navigate conversations. Because we have the 9 and the 7 of Wands, it can kind of give me like strong opinion vibes. So people may be talking about your strong, being very opinionated, or just having like some kind of strong beliefs. It could just be anything from wanting to get conversations going. Pretty much Wanda energy is like all social media. It's like this very hyper active, what's the word that I'm looking for? Almost lack of nuance energy that social media gives off. And I think when you're not around, people are taking in this fiery nature that you may have, and they're applying it in a sense where they're like, wow, this person really is like, they believe this one thing, like passionately. Like if you ever just, you know, scrolled through social media or YouTube, people definitely have this sort of like, I'm on this team side, or I'm on this team side. It's pretty rare, or there's far and few between people who express themselves where they're kind of like in this gray area in the middle, where they're like, I believe this thing, and maybe this thing's right on this end and this thing's like on this end. People usually try to pick a side, and it makes sense, because if you pick a side, you're going to have more of a niche, you're going to have more of a following, and it's people like feeling like they're part of a team, or like they're part of a group, or like they belong somewhere. So they're getting that energy off from you, where they feel like you just have very strong perspectives on matters or opinions or whatever the subject may be. And so that's pretty much what they're saying about you when you're not around, how you just seem to be a person who's just very passionate. And then we have the Page of Swords here. That can be like they feel kind of how I said before, where there's a little bit more of a lack of nuance in the things that maybe you say, where they feel like you aren't looking at all the different perspectives, because the Page of Swords is somebody, a card that is still learning and still growing. I usually get the Page of Swords who could be somebody who, there's someone who fails to look at the deeper connections between things, and it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't have the analytical or abilities to do so based on the current knowledge that they have. Okay, they do the best with what they have. They're the Page of Swords, they're still learning. And so these are the things that people are saying. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're true, doesn't necessarily mean that they're right in their thoughts and their opinions, but these are definitely what people are saying. I think they have a lot of strong feelings about what exactly it is that you communicate and put out there in the world. And from their perspective, it doesn't seem like there is room for other people's thoughts to influence your own. Okay, they kind of feel like that's not something you would be welcome to. For example, let's say I'm someone, and let's say I'm a person who believes, what's something that's like a really popular thing that's like going on right now? I see a lot of videos about like, oh, it's like, for black women in particular, it's like black luxury, like kind of leveling up, or you like no more struggle of stuff like that. So let's say you were somebody who had the opinion where you were like, you know what, I don't want to be with someone who wants to go 50-50 with me. I want to be with someone who is more of like a provider type personality. And then someone else comes in and they're like, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think, you know, guys and girls should kind of like go down the middle, split equally, you know what I mean? Like something like that. In terms of money or whatever, and or let's say they think like, oh, I think men should be the head of the household, and that the money should be split equally and something like that. Like they basically just have an opinion that's opposite. And you're just like, no, I don't think that's right because of X, Y, and Z, this, and this. You know, men don't have to deal with these things. Women have to put more effort into this. Women ultimately have to end up taking care of like the more house and chores in certain situations. In most situations, honestly, women tend to have to pick up the second shift, they call it, at home. So, and so you're making your points and you're making your statements, and then they're making their points and they're making their statements for whatever argument that they have and whatever perspective they have, I should say. And for them, they feel like, well, I can't convince this person to be on my side, and that's how they're viewing you. They're viewing you like, well, you have your own thoughts about things, and you cannot be convinced otherwise, and there's not much room to push these boundaries or to welcome any other value system, which is not a bad thing. It makes it sound like, you know, there's something wrong with that, but no, there's nothing wrong with being somebody who has strong convictions, especially if it resonates with you and if you believe in it solely. People have strong convictions all the time. You know, people have strong convictions in their faith and within God. People have strong convictions within simple, I guess it's not a simple thing, but things that have to do with, you know, a health regimen or exercise. People have strong convictions about that, strong convictions about how they want to raise their children. So there's nothing wrong with having strong opinions. So that's basically the perspective that a lot of people are saying. They're like, man, this person has really strong opinions, and they feel like it, you know, that's the main thing. With this this 10 of Pentacles reverse energy on the end, for them, they feel like that your beliefs or your thoughts will not hold up long term. Because I get the 10 of Pentacles to be like somebody who's kind of like outside of the realms of society, or somebody who's not thinking ahead for the long run in terms of like practical real world experience. So they either feel like your beliefs won't stand the test of time, or they feel like you're somebody who's really thinking outside of the box in terms of what they believe in, and maybe you have some very unpopular opinions or unpopular beliefs. And to other people it may seem radical, but it is possible that maybe you're ahead of your time. This can also mean somebody who is very outdated in their belief systems as well. So that's generally what people kind of talk about when you're not around. It's not necessarily negative or not. It's just their opinions and their thoughts on things, on you in general. And then for some of you, it could be like they may feel like you don't spend your money wisely, or you may not be investing properly, or you may not just be investing your time properly into the right things, or the things that you value, people may believe could be superficial or something like that. So that's something to think about. Like, I hope this reading didn't like upset anyone. It's just, these are the things that the cards are really picking up on. Positive things, if that felt like very negative to you, then positive things is they believe that you're a very strong-willed person, and that you're a very dedicated person, and that you'll definitely be like a good friend to have on your side if you need somebody to like have your back or defend. Like, they really see you as being like that fiery person. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro-Tarot Research. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 3. Let's get started on what people are saying about you when you're not around. Okay, we have, I believe this is the Devil. Yes, we have the Devil. We have the 3 of Wands. We have the Queen of Wands. And we have the 5 of Swords and the Page of Cups. All right. You can just hear this tiredness in my voice. So basically what I get off the bat is people are just kind of just saying you're hot when you're not around, basically. And And there is a little bit of bitterness and jealousy from people, because with this Five of Swords, there's definitely some hateration going on there. If am I to say what they're talking about specifically, being flirtatious usually is a criticism of the Queen of Wands, and especially since it's next in between these two cards, kind of the Page of Cups. You know, if we look at it this way, then it's like in between these two cards right here. And so there's a lot of criticism of being like flirtatious, or maybe spending too much time appearances, or being maybe even too ambitious, having too much power, sexual energy. A lot of people get intimidated by people who just look good. You know, that happens. People are insecure and petty, so that are miserable and don't like their lives. But yeah, that happens. There are some good things being said, obviously, with the Devil and the Three of Wands. It's not all bad. They view you as very humorous. I get wand energy to represent people who like to joke around, who are funny. So people are saying how funny you are, how friendly you are, how open you are, and how encouraging you are. And your energy is just very confident and generally very powerful, and very much like you're in control. So that's something that they may get from you. I think a lot of people have just noticed that you have a lot of, you know, suitors or admirers, or people who just want your attention in general, because when sometimes we get the threes, it's like threes are like extra company, you know, three's a crowd and something like that. So it just feels that, I just feel like that energy is about having more than one option available to you, especially since it's next to the Devil card. And, you know, the Devil card can have to do with seduction and, you know, lustfulness and etc. like that. Especially with the Queen of Wands energy right there following it. It's just kind of saying that there are a lot of commentaries may be made about your appearance, or people who are interested in you. Like, oh my God, did you see way so-and-so is talking about so-and-so, or looking at so-and-so, the conversation they had, or da-da-da-da, or what was he wearing, what was she wearing, or, you know, he was flirting with her, she was flirting with him, she was flirting with her, whatever, he's flirting with him. It doesn't matter, like, whatever gender you are. It's just kind of talking about the, like, flirtatious vibes, or romantic interests that you may have, and etc. For some people, if we take this to the extreme, this could be like, I guess, you know, sleeping your way to the top, because the Devil card does rule like positions of power and etc. like that. So some people may say, oh, this person didn't get by on merit or skill. They kind of got by on looks and, you know, seduction or whatever. That's the case for some people, that people may say some things like that. But I do get some good things where people, like I said, some people are saying that you're confident, and some people are like really into your sense of style. And some people think that you have a lot of potential to be going places in the future, and like things are only going to get better for you, and that you have a natural charisma to you. And that's something that people are really, really looking at. And then you also have people who may feel like you're somebody who's being undervalued and underappreciated, and you could probably do better than the situation that you are currently in. And they can see that the people around you just really aren't, they're kind of taking you for granted, and they're going to be the type of people who don't know what they had until, you know, you're gone, basically. They kind of feel like that way. And that's something that people are saying about you, or at least for some of you, that is basically the case. We have the creativity going around if you're artistic, or just somebody who has a very interesting way about going about things. A lot of socialization going on, a lot of social energy happening here. With this, I'm trying to think about like this Capricorn energy coming up, because it's a placement where things can be just so very rigid and complicated and obsessive. Like, it just represents so many different things. And for me, it's almost like they feel like you are, you know, maybe intensely focusing on new opportunities and new ventures and new ways to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Like they feel like you're very goal oriented, and that's something that people will mention. So you may not be the type to always live in the moment. You're probably always thinking about, you know, bigger, better, best in a way. Okay. You know, the Queen of Wands always looks ahead towards the future. So that's something to keep in mind when people are like saying things about you. They're like, this person's always trying to do something new. They're always trying to get ahead. They're always trying to plan, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. They're always looking towards, you know, the next thing. You want to take advantage of time while it's here. Okay, and that's something that people will see within you, that you don't want to lose opportunities. So you're maybe filling up your plate. Doesn't necessarily, there's nothing that looks overwhelming here, but they feel like you're definitely trying to stay busy, and that's something people are just kind of mentioning about you when you're not around. But for the most part, that's everything that I can personally pick up on that would be relevant as well. Some people may question your character, if you're really genuine, because the 5 of Swords here is obviously like that card that's like, oh, a lose-lose. Somebody has poor morals. Somebody's like just looking out for themselves, looking to win at any cost, looking to get ahead at any cost. So some people may have a criticism of you being overly ambitious or something like that. Or at least that's how they're viewing you, or that's what they're saying, and you know, and from their perspective, it's obviously not necessarily true, but that's pretty much what they're saying, and they're just kind of feeling like that you, on your way to the top, are just ignoring the needs or the feelings of others. So that's something that some people may be saying about you. But I do see a group of people who really do find you just very kind and open and, you know, willing to, you know, speak from your heart and to let people in to things that are intimate to you, okay? It's not saying like you're letting everybody know everything, but you are willing to open yourself up to people. So that is what I have for you, pal number 3. Feel like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Ofa. Hey, pal number 4. This is what people were saying when you aren't around. I think I phrased that right. Don't take things too personally, too hard. These are just what people are saying. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are true, and it's really no reflection of you. I should have said that in the first place, but you guys know how I am. I forget to say things sometimes, but it is important to know, like, don't take everything to heart, you know. But to be honest, there's really not much bad things said here. I only mentioned that because the previous pal had some rough things that people were saying, and I don't think that it was the best. Whatever. Let's get into this pile. We have 3 Pentacles here. The Queen of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords, and I had to reverse it. The Empress and the 8 of Cups. So behind your back, first and foremost, people are saying you're a hardworking woman who likes to, or man, sorry, or they or them. I'm not sure how you like to identify, but you're a hardworking person who likes to take care of themselves, who may like to pamper themselves, or maybe it's more about self-care, self-health. From, you know, things like, you know, keeping your hair healthy, your nails healthy, keeping your body healthy, you know, eating right, making sure you get enough sleep, things like that. Like, they feel like you're really catering to yourself. Also, I get the Queen of Pentacles to represent somebody who looks very, like, classy, kind of looks very beautiful. Same with the Empress, like a very beautiful card, and the 8 of Cups, also beautiful. So they really emphasize the beauty, but before I get into that, I want to talk about how they really, really see that you pay a lot of attention into what you look like, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself to the world. You may have a lot of practical skills. You may be somebody who is very strong, who has a lot of self-restraint. somebody who's very patient, somebody who is humble, and somebody who respects others as well as respects themselves, and somebody who just has a strong sense of who they are and works well with other people and gets the job done. Like, you don't let your responsibilities and your work fall to the wayside. You tend to like to stay on top of things. I mean, obviously we have this Knight of Swords and in a reverse position, so yeah, sometimes you can fumble a little bit, but like, you're human. For the most part, you're just a very responsible person. That's what people say. They kind of feel like you're reliable, and you're for the most part consistent. I mean, there are some times with this Knight of Swords energy, they're like, what happened? Where did he or she go? Like, I'm trying to get in contact with them and they're not answering, and I need them to do this for me, and da 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 da. But for the most part, you were there when you need to be there. So, but let's get into this Knight of Swords energy. So the Knight of Swords energy is just letting me know that sometimes you can say things that can really get under people's skin and can, you know, maybe hurt their feelings a little bit, or it can come off too blunt, or they feel like the communication isn't as strong as it needs to be. Like, they feel like there's a lot of miscommunication. So they may be saying things behind your back like, I'm really not sure what they meant by that, or like, what were they trying to communicate? Did they mean what they said when they said that? Or like, I'm really confused by what they meant here, or like, I feel like I didn't quite get what they were saying. I didn't really understand, you know, I didn't understand the assignment, you know what I mean? Like, so sometimes the communication they feel can be a little bit confusing, or maybe they're misinterpreting things, or, you know, from your side. So they may be saying things like that, or like I said before, the opposite, where it can be like, maybe they could have said that in a way that was a little bit more softer, or a little bit more passive. I've noticed people like a lot of people prefer passive aggression rather than people being direct. So they may feel like, wow, he or she said that in a way that was just very direct, and it kind of just like, they always speak in such a direct way, and it's like, whoa, this can be kind of like a lot to hear in one setting, right? And then sometimes I get the Knight of Swords to just generally represent somebody who can kind of ramble on or go on and on about this, and, you know, they change their mind one day, then they're this way, they think this way the next day, and sometimes their words don't always match up to their actions. So they say they're going to do something, but then they end up not doing it. So they may feel like that you don't always come through, but like I said, for the most part, you're pretty reliable. Just generally, they may feel like, oh, maybe this person isn't telling the whole truth about something, or maybe they're hiding something. These are all interpretations that they can be saying. They just feel like they don't get the full picture on what it is that you're trying to communicate, either about yourself or maybe even other people. Definitely when they're talking about you, they're talking about you in relation to some other people as well. Usually, because the way these cards are set up, it gives me a little bit more of a platonic thing. So they may just be talking about how you communicate with just generally other people around you. Like, they may, you know how some people would be like, oh, this person likes to compliment other people. Like, that's like talking about someone in relation to someone else. Or this person hangs out with so-and-so, and I really didn't picture them hanging out with that person. And I think that's the case in this case, because we have the Queen of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords together. And so I feel like the people that they think that you surround yourself by, whether that's romantic, whether that's in a friendly sense, they're like, I don't even understand that. Like, they're like, well, I don't get that connection. I don't get why those two are like hanging out together. So that's something that's interesting. Like, they kind of feel like the people that they think that you would connect with aren't the people that you're connecting with. That's something that people will notice. But the main thing that's really coming up here is what people talk about when you're not around, is just how good looking you are. I only say that because we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Empress, and the Eight of Cups, and I often get these cards to represent, you know, attractiveness, or beauty, or having like a lot of people like desire them. So that comes up a lot in this case. And so you have a lot of people talking about the way you look and the way you carry yourself. Also, it could be the way you dress. It could also indicate the way that you express yourself, and how you do things that make you happy and try to focus on more positive things. So, or more positive outlooks. Excuse me. And how you like to focus on more positive circumstances or outlooks. So what they're saying is basically something along the lines of, this person is very, very attractive. Maybe they feel like the people you're hanging out with aren't on the same level of attractiveness, or maybe they aren't the same level creativity wise, or maybe they feel like your style is very very good and nice, but maybe the people you hang out with, their style is not as great, or maybe it just doesn't match. You know, you might have somebody who dresses all pastel and then they hang out with somebody gothic and they're like, how does that style match that style? You know what I mean? So that's another thing. And then they also, something that is interesting to them, they'll usually comment on how you don't seem to be like really focusing on committing to a partnership at the moment. From what I get, it's like you may be looking for one. Maybe some of you are in relationships right now, so this could be, wrong for those who are in the relationships. But for this pile, it's more so like, the thing I'm getting is they feel like you're committed to yourself, okay? Even if you're in a relationship, and what I mean by that is they feel like you're committed to taking care of yourself, of looking towards your future, looking towards your happiness, looking towards being the best version that you can be. They see that there's been changes within you, and that's something that they will acknowledge. They're like, okay, this person seems different than how I had maybe originally thought of them, or like they've changed since I've met them, and that's something that people will be talking about when it comes to you. Like, you just seem to be in a good place. That's what people often mention when, you're not around. So that is what I have for you, pile number 4. It's pretty good reading, I think, when it comes to how people kind of are talking about you. And it's really not a lot of, like you would expect, maybe bitterness or jealousy. That's not that. Like, you may have some people making some commentary about, like, how, I don't know, they might be upset about, like, how it seems that you seem to be at peace with what you have, because you have this Knight of Swords, and Knight of Swords reverse can be somebody who can be like a little bit like make rude remarks. So they were like, oh, how does this person doesn't deserve, I don't know, to be happy, or this person doesn't deserve a relationship, or this person doesn't deserve whatever it is that this person is jealous of. More than likely they're like jealous of your happiness, without a doubt. Like, so that's, you have a small percentage of people who are like that, but for the most part, people generally say good things about you when you are not around. So that is what I have for you, pile number 4, and I'm gonna let you go. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Au revoir.